our light, where growth gets real and we ditch the fluff for authentic transformation. Tonight's guest is Karissa Dean, mom, entrepreneur, certified coach, and queen of reinventing herself without apology. From burning out while juggling everything, from dance teams to drum tucks, yes, really, to creating a life of balance, love, and aligned business ventures. Carissa's story is a rally cry for anyone ready to break free from overwhelm and step into their next chapter. This is about getting curious, getting real, and shaking things up because growth doesn't have to be pretty, but it does have to be honest. Welcome to the show, Chris. It's an honor to have you.
Thank you. Thank you for that intro. I appreciate it.
Mhm. So, your journey from burnout to badass business owner is amazing. What was the breaking point that made you say, enough, I'm doing this differently?
I think that there have been many over the years, but the initial breaking point was a deep confusion I felt around who I was, how I wanted to live, what I wanted to do with my time, where I wanted to invest my energy. And it was this crazy conundrum of what am I doing? And it really brought me to my knees, questioning, my role as a mom, as a wife, and, as someone trying to identify a career path. I had invested most of my time and energy in being a mom and being a wife. And that season where you send your kids off to school really can make or break you as a parent, because it's the first time where you are given the opportunity to have some space again for yourself. And so it was really this, you know, knee breaking moment where I just didn't know who I was anymore. I had lost myself in a pleasing narrative, which I think is very normal in feminine roles, and women tend to take care of everyone and they forget about themselves. So in that moment, I decided that I had to really get honest about what I was enjoying, what I was not enjoying, and the people and the places and the spaces where I was showing up. So I just started getting curious and I started playing and being creative. And along the way, over time, I'm discovering myself, and it's a never ending journey, because change truly is the only thing that is constant. And when we allow that truth to exist, uh, then we really are able to become who we always wanted to be. And I think that's the beauty of, personal development, and the work that I get to do with my clients is working alongside them to support their discovery of who they are.
Absolutely. So, how did you even begin to untangle yourself from all the roles and expectations?
It's a very good question. It was not easy. And I would say that I'm still untangling myself, because I believe we are souls and we come to this earth for an experience, but we come with some baggage. Maybe it's ours, maybe it's ancestral, but we enter this world and then the world gets its hands on us. So we are conditioned. And based on the country where you were born, the religion you're born into, the type of dynamic you're born into, you are taught from a very young age that this is how things go, this is what we're doing. Um, and the truth is that you have to disentangle from all those narratives, because while some of them may feel very real and accurate, um, they're distorted versions of who you actually are. And so the pathway that I chose to disentangle was through coaching and personal development. And, I am a person who is very self-motivated and driven. So when I start getting information, I immediately want to apply it. So I just started, reading about meditation. Okay, great. Let's meditate. I started reading about journaling. Okay, great. Let's start journaling. Um, I started having some deeper, honest conversations with myself and in safe spaces in therapy, as well as with a coach. And I started having those conversations with the people in my inner circle who I trusted and loved. And the more I leaned into that self-led discovery, the more I started to draw awareness to, wow, I really am this calm person at my core, but I'm reacting to the world because I don't understand it. So, how can I let go of the things I can't control? How can I drop into the higher version of myself? And how do I show up with that being the main driver of what I do and how I do what I do?
That honesty is such a breath of fresh air because burnout doesn't always look like rock bottom, but it
Yeah.
feels like drowning.
Yeah. Yeah. It is not always. I mean, I would say it felt like rock bottom, right? I was pretty overwhelmed, anxious, depressed, angry. I was really angry. But it wasn't like, you know, as bad as it could be. I mean, I think that there's a lot of really dramatic rock bottoms. Mine was just a deeper inner rock bottom for sure.
Right. So you've got your hands in everything from coaching to dump trucks and vacation rentals. How do you stay aligned and intentional in your business choices?
Great question. It's a never ending pursuit. I struggle with the word balance sometimes because I think initially when you think of the word balance, you think of this like perfect, perfect pie where everything is even. Every area of your life has this beautiful, even slice. And unfortunately, I don't live in that world. I think some people do, and that's amazing and it works really well for them. Um, my pie looks different every day. And so I think growing the muscle of flexibility was one of my superpowers, growing this uh, concept of change is normal, change is good, and chaos exists in change. And then I just started to redefine what balance looked like for me. And so, really, I lean into harmony, what feels good. So, for me, being able to be this multifaceted, multi passionate human means that I need to really turn in and listen to myself and what I need, which is not always easy when you are navigating businesses, employees, animals, children, romantic partners, friendships, family. It can definitely get overwhelming. And I would be lying to you if I said that I wasn't overwhelmed. I definitely have days where I'm like, holy shit, what am I doing? This is too much. Um, and so it's being honest with myself when I have those days and I have those moments. I have to really pull myself out of this situation, sit with myself and be like, okay, in this moment, I am overwhelmed. What do I need? What can I control? What can I let go of? And then how can I, you know, curate the next few hours, the next few days, the next few weeks to honor what I need. And, one of the things that, or a couple of the things that I do pretty much on a daily basis, there are definitely times where I miss it because I'm too busy or, there's a lot going on, or people in my space, or we're traveling. But daily meditation and journaling are two really key things for me. And, some people will think, oh, meditation has to be this, like, Buddhist sitting in front of a throne, or, being crisscross applesauce on the floor, perfect posture. I don't think that that's meditation in its purest form. I think that that's an idealistic version. It's great. It's amazing. As somebody who's done a Vipassana silent retreat, it's definitely a beautiful, beautiful practice. But I think meditation is any time we can really sit with our breath and notice what's happening in our bodies, and just be present with the breath, and really thinking about nothing as much as we can, and really drawing the awareness to what is the looping thought I'm having, and can I let this go? Can I change the mindset around it? Can I flip my own script here? So meditation for me, I think I do a lot of meditative moments throughout my day where I'm like the observer with my thoughts and my actions, and I just breathe into them, and I make sure that's who I want to be. And I ask myself those exact questions. Is this the best representation of Karissa? Is this the version of you that you want the world to see and feel and hear? And if it's not, I get curious about, well, why am I showing up this way? What needs to change? And what do I need to let go of? A lot of times I think we're overwhelmed because we're trying to control the outcome. And so the meditation, of just like walking, or, looking at nature and watching, noticing the wind or noticing the weather, right? Maybe it's raining and you're just watching the rain for a few minutes, and you realize, the more that you pay attention to nature, how little control we actually have, right? I can't blink my eyes and suddenly change the weather. So what makes me think that I can blink my eyes and change my financial situation, or the way that my spouse is treating me, or the fact that my child is tired and grouchy because they're hungry. And so it's really a practice of letting go and surrendering again and again in the moments where we feel the overwhelm. And so it's just a practice. And that's really how I come back to myself, is honoring my overwhelm, not avoiding it, not numbing it, but really turning towards it and being like, why is this feeling existing in me? And then I work to get curious around it and see if being present with it can be enough for it to soften its edges. And then that's when I take, the journal out, and I'm like, man, I really just got to get this off my chest. Or I call a really trusted, loyal friend, or I write it down and take it to my coach, or my therapist. I think we live in a world where we're so busy being busy that we ignore a lot of those simple guideposts. And the more that we can slow down and get curious about those guideposts, then we can really do a lot of epic shit. I think that's why I can do so many different things with ease, is because I'm not trying to ignore the chaos that exists within those. I just simply practice surrendering to the chaos and doing the best I can in every moment, to align to that higher version.
Absolutely. So, is there a spiritual practice or gut check that helps you decide what's next?
What do you mean? Tell me more about when you say that helps me decide what's next.
Mm, like, is there a certain spiritual practice that you do to help you decide what's next or what to do next?
Uh, I think the meditation, and being really present with myself, um, that is how I decide what's next. And to be honest with you, sometimes what I what I decide is next doesn't always work out. It's sometimes it's the wrong thing. And I just pay attention to that. I have a methodology that I utilize in my coaching practice with my clients. And that methodology, the ARC approach, really does support you to understand that your awareness, right? Being present, understanding that this moment is happening, and then taking that next step, which is the reflection of, okay, the last time I felt this way, I did this thing and this was the outcome. Is that a version I want to pursue again? Or do I want to explore a different pathway? And then you move on to the C, which is I get to choose and I get to create what's next. So I think, the practice I use is the ARC approach. I get really clear and draw my awareness. I reflect on what happened in the past, and then I create the next best thing. And sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. That's what is really beautiful about the power of reflection, is when we take the moment to reflect without guilt, without shame, without judgment, and we just are gathering information, we have the opportunities to create new pathways.
That blend of hustle and heart, it's such a permission slip for people to explore their own version of success.
Yeah.
So, how did your personal development journey impact your relationships, especially your marriage and family life?
Well, I think relationships are always changing. There's that famous saying, no idea who said it, but it's so true, that some people are with you for a reason, to teach you something. Um, some people are with you for a season, a shorter period of your life. And other people are there for your lifetime. So a reason, a season, or a life. And I really trust the universe. I'll go back to the surrender. I really have grown this ability to, it doesn't bypass the challenge. It doesn't bypass maybe that there are some emotions existing, unfavorable emotions. But I really have grown to trust that when I'm being faced with issues in relationships, it's an opportunity. I can learn something, I can grow, I can, get curious about what's happening. And so for me, it's more about getting curious about the lesson and the opportunity and the growth and the pathways. And I try not to make it mean too much. I think we put a lot of emphasis on being a good girl or a bad girl, or a good boy or a bad boy. But if you remove the good and the bad, and you just are human, and you allow yourself to make mistakes, you can settle into the reality that relationships change. I've had moments where I'm really close with my family, talking to them every day, connecting every week. And then there have been times where maybe I go 6 months without even connecting with them at all. And so life ebbs and flows, and relationships do change. I don't think that losing certain relationships in your life is a bad thing. It's just an opportunity. What did I learn here? What did this person teach me about future relationships? What did this person teach me about myself? What did this person allow me to um, explore? And so I think everything's an opportunity. It's just a matter of, can you get out of your own way and see that alternative perspective?
100%. So, what's one shift that helped you show up differently at home?
Um, Breathing. Breathing, I think, is a big shift. But I think taking the weight out of things, we make things really heavy and detrimental and as if they're the end all be all and that we can't go on. But the truth is, we're so much more resilient and strong. And sometimes we just have to lean back and guide ourselves differently, which means creating space. So when things are not going a certain way and you're feeling, you know, emotions that you don't like, or your nervous system is being tested and maybe you're getting triggered, you're going into flight or flight, being able to drop back into your parasympathetic nervous system and breathe and really create some space from the situation, you gain the perspective of, okay, wait a minute, I do have a choice in this moment. I can choose the next thing that I do. I get to choose how I respond to this. And I think in that we cultivate um, a deeper sense of oneness with that higher version, with that, ultimate who am I?
That's such a reminder that growth doesn't stay in one lane, it touches every part of life.
Yeah, it truly does.
Mhm. So, you don't sugarcoat things. You're all about no BS transformation. What are some of the biggest myths about burnout or success that you love to burst?
Ah, I love this question. Um, that it's like this terrible thing that you can't overcome or that it only happens once, I think. Burnout's real and it's repetitive unless we really change a lot of behaviors. But the reality is you're going to get burnt out because it's just in our human nature to say yes, overbook ourselves. And so burnout's real. It's just a matter of, are you honoring it and are you accepting of it? And so, I think I'd love to debunk the myth that burnout means you have to burn it all down and you have to completely do this like dramatic upheaval of your life, of your business, of your spirituality. And I don't think that that's true. I don't think you have to hit rock bottom. I don't think that you have to burn it all down and start over. I think you can, but I truly believe that it gets to be simple and it gets to be easy. And so burnout is just a moment on your path where you get to get curious about what's the next best thing I need to do. Um, and it's in the little things that we do every day, right? It's taking less time on social media. It's creating more of a safe environment in your home, eliminating distractions, eliminating toxic people and toxic conversations. It's not participating in the things that drain you. And so I really believe that these groundbreaking concepts, while beneficial to some, I think it's more about small, sustainable things. And when we look at it from a lens of what if this gets to be intentional and easy? What if it gets to be really simple and small? We can have bigger, longer term radical changes. It's not saying that you won't get pushed to your knees and truly tested, but it's saying that those are the moments that you build small, sustainable habits um, so that you pick yourself up. I mean, I fall on my knees all the time and am crying and feeling like, how do I go on? And it's because I have these little things that bring me back to myself, having an epic tea that you can make that just brings a pure sense of like peace and joy into your system. Being able to drink water fully present, being able to step outside and have a little sacred spot in your yard or in your garden or in your city where you can Maybe it's a park bench, maybe it's a certain bridge or architectural building where you go and you just breathe in the beauty of that simple thing. I have horses, so anytime I'm feeling dysregulated, I just go sit with them and just hang out for a second. They help regulate your system. Maybe it's calling a loved one. Maybe it's sitting next to your partner. Maybe it's asking for an 8-second hug. There are little simple things that bring us back to ourselves. And the more that we compound those things in our environment, having fresh flowers instead of no flowers or dead flowers, right? Putting beauty in your space and, having an organized space, are two things that are really important for me. That when I'm feeling that overwhelm, when I'm feeling that burnout, when I'm feeling like I can't go on or I've ruined everything, and that like narrative of I'm a bad girl starts playing, I have these little reminders all throughout my home and my space that remind me, oh no, you're doing okay. Like you're gonna be fine. And so again, it's like we don't have to make it so complex and hard. It doesn't have to be big. It can be little things. Um, Having a quote on your bathroom mirror, changing the screen of your cell phone so that it has something uplifting for you to look at. Taking a social media break, putting your laptop down and going for a walk. It it's little things every day that you stack up, and you get to decide what those little things are, and you just put them everywhere in your life, in your schedule, and you keep doing them when shit hits the fan.
That's such a needed truth, letting go of what we should be to discover what we can be.
Yep.
So, Carissa Dean shows us that reinvention doesn't require perfection, it requires permission. Permission to get curious, to be messy, and to build a life that feels good for you, whether it's business, family, or your own soul work. This is your reminder to show up fully and unapologetically. So go ahead, shake things up. Your next chapter is